Do you ever feel like you're juggling a million versions of yourself and still dropping the ball? Like you're switching hats all day, professional, partner, parent, friend, and no one really sees what it takes to just be you? Yeah, me too. Welcome to Hat Rack with Hannah. I'm Hannah, therapist, entrepreneur, author, podcast host, and also a mom, partner, daughter, friend, basically a professional hat wearer. I created this space where you don't have to minimize what you're carrying or rush past it. Because the truth is, you can have big dreams and feel overwhelmed by the roles it takes to hold them. Both get to exist. Here we slow it down, call it what it is, take some hats off, and figure out what actually belongs in your rack. So take a deep breath. You can set something down here, and let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the pod, Hat Rack with Hannah. I'm your host, Hannah, and I am so excited to get into this fun concept today. Okay, fun might be pushing it, but this real life concept. So today we are going to talk about the split when we try to do it all at once. So after last month, this concept just feels so full and whole. Honestly, it was the concept I was going to start the pod with, but then Mother's Day content, right? Like, can't ignore that. There's too many intersections and normalizing conversations we need to have. So we are going to finally talk about the split. What is the split? So the split is a concept that I coined, and the reason I coined it is because it's a relatable experience that I see so many people managing and dealing with on a daily basis, not just clients, friends, family, myself included. To try and explain it, have you ever tried to be in two places mentally at once and ended up feeling like you failed both? Or you needed to be in one place, but you're stressed about doing something else, and then when you were in the place physically, you weren't actually there mentally, and so then it was like, why did I even go? This is the split. We are going to work through what it is, why it overwhelms us, and how to navigate it in real life and not just in theory. So let's define this concept really, really clearly. So the split is when roles, tasks, hats, emotional responsibilities all overlap, normally all at once. It's kind of when you're one foot in one task and one foot in another, but not necessarily intentionally or sometimes completely intentionally. And the result is that nothing feels fully completed, or we feel like we weren't present. We have an increased overwhelm. This internal narrative of failure or falling behind kind of comes into play. And we are disappointing ourselves or someone else. And it just creates this ick. So there are two types of splitting, but they often intersect. Physical splitting, which is like multitasking, so like work, school, caregiving, calls, things like that. And then emotional role splitting, which is switching identities. So partner, parent, employee, friend, those identities we really talk about often, right? And a relatable example, I'm going to tell this story, and it's ridiculous, but I think it honestly highlights a lot of the pressures that we feel and gives a good example of this concept. So there was a Friday. Fridays, I have music class with my daughter, and it's very important to me. Well, on this Friday, I had a networking breakfast, I had music class, and I had an employee in court supporting a client. And so I was trying to show up and support my employee. So I get to this networking event, and this is all before 11 a.m., mind you. So, like, I'm already not my best. I'm not a morning girly. So I go to this networking event, and my AirPod is in. So my employee is on like the Zoom court, and she is on a call with me. Okay. So she's doing that. I'm listening to her, waiting for things to start. That can take forever, right? So she's just hanging out. She's in my ear. And then I'm networking with multiple different people. This was actually last year. And it was like a Mother's Day celebration of different families and like them being able to conceive and the supports that they had for their mental health. So super cool event. So I'm meeting people, talking to people. Meanwhile, my employee's in my ear and she's like, hey, something's happening. And so then I'll be like, oh, hold on 1 second. Sorry, I'm doing two things at once today. Step away, listen to what's going on, step back in. And then they have an incredible speaker actually who was speaking. So I'm listening to the speaker as I'm listening to my employee. I'm like, okay, I gotta go because I gotta go pick up my daughter from daycare to go to music class. So I wrap it up, say bye to the humans I just met, and get in the car. And I'm on the phone with my employee. And then now my attorney is texting me, giving me things that I need to tell my employee. So then I have to hang up with her, call my attorney, all doing this while driving, not the best, to go get my daughter for her class, right? So then I get my daughter, we get to class. I am sitting there in music class, playing with a bunch of instruments, watching my daughter dance around while I'm in court. I know, ridiculous. So then we do music class and I get her back to daycare and I'm sitting in the daycare parking lot and I'm still in court. I sit in that daycare parking lot for an hour and a half waiting for court to happen. Still didn't happen. Finally decided, okay, I'm gonna just go move along with my day and keep my AirPod in. So I go home and I'm trying to do things. Well, we weren't even seen by the judge because the day literally ended. Literally ended. So this is like 3, 4 o'clock now. And I take my AirPod out for like the first time that day. Also, I had to switch AirPods because of course one died. And I just like remember sitting in my living room being like, holy shit. That was all of my energy and capacity. I don't feel like I did one thing at all. Nothing about the day felt good. And I couldn't remember who I talked to at that networking event. I was not able to participate and fully dance with my daughter in music class. And then court didn't even happen. And I just remember leaving the day feeling like, ugh, like yuck. And it was really just me trying to show up for too many people at once and also putting myself on the back burner because I wasn't showing up for me at all. No. So I got really overwhelmed and I got really frustrated and I felt like I failed at all three things and then fourth being with myself that day. It wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I was split. This emotional, physical split that happens when you try and do too many things at once to please too many people. I can give you probably 100 million of examples of me doing this, trying to boss, trying to support friends and family, trying to mom, every role, every hat that I wear, and trying to do it all at once. And then it serving no one and literally burning me. And why this split happens is we overcommit to things. We have a high responsibility load, emotional caretaking roles, lack of transition time between things, and this cultural pressure to multitask and do it all. After this example happened and like this feeling happened, this one specifically though last year, I was like, I need to be done with multitasking, right? Like I was like, no more. I'm just going to be present. I'm a business owner. We can't be done with multitasking. Come on now. But it's really working on and leaning into being present in what you're doing and realizing that the split isn't failure of capacity, it's a systems and expectations issue. So let's move into how we navigate the split. How we navigate the split is with a system I came up with that has 4 steps or anchors. The first is planning. When we realize that the split's there, we have to plan how we can approach it, right? Planning isn't just a productivity tool, it can be a nervous system support tool as well. So we want to be really intentional. So time blocking is a great example of this because we can have dedicated work time, rest time, family time, and even transition time between these roles. It can help create emotional predictability so you can kind of map out your day, right? But when it also comes to planning, we need a plan A, B, and C because oftentimes something can throw off our day. Let's say an employee calls out sick, or something comes up, a client crisis, right? Like you have to be able to shift your day and have it be okay and give yourself grace around that because it's hard when that happens, but we do need to be able to manage shifts. So in planning, we need to also identify where we can hold the structure versus where we can be flexible. It's a Saturday. Only you're holding the expectation of what needs to get done that day. So I want to normalize that oftentimes the pressure we feel in planning is actually from ourselves, not others, and know when to give yourself a break. That's a really hard one for me too, but it's really important because if you don't get the things done on a Saturday, it's okay. If you're late on a deadline, you ask for an extension, right? Those things happen, and even the best laid plans sometimes go awry. When we move too quickly from one responsibility to the next without pause, our brains often stay partially on in every space. So you may physically be at dinner with your family, but mentally answering emails, or sitting at work while emotionally carrying everything happening at home. We need to ask ourselves where I can be fully present versus partially present. And capacity to me looks like a battery. So when you're going through your plans for the day, if I am going to go to the gym and do drop off and do employee check-in in the morning, okay, my 100% capacity from my well rested evening, right? Just went from 100% to like maybe 80 with my morning activities. Okay, I got 80% for the rest of the day. Well, now I'm going to go see 7 clients. Okay, now I'm at like 40, right? And now I need to do admin notes. I have an employee call and I have to get home and take care of my daughter, make dinner, right? So now I'm at 0 by the end of the day. And when I get home, I'm already probably at 15. So then that doesn't feel the best to finish out the day and be present in my role at home. So plan your day also by capacity. If I'm going to see 7 clients, if I want 20% left in my tank before I go home, maybe I'm moving my admin hour to the next day, right? So this is also where time blocking can be really helpful and in your planning process. So think of your capacity as a battery. And when we're planning, we're not just planning our chunks of time, but we're also planning the energy needed for the chunks of time. This is a step that's often missed, and I often educate people on because when we're just planning the things, like I did in my example, right? I didn't plan for capacity that day at all, but we need to. And this needs to be normalized in something that everyone is doing. We're not just planning the things to plan the things, we're planning the things with our energy in mind so that they go well and they feel good. We also want to build buffers between roles and tasks. So, taking those 5 minutes in the car before you go into your next role, taking a deep breath before you enter the house, listening to music or decompressing between tasks, make sure that you do that because it's really, really important. So a few wrap up things from our planning step. Step 1, build your buffers between tasks and roles. Make backup plans A, B, and C because life happens. Identify where structure helps and where flexibility is needed. Notice when the expectations are internal, not external, and give yourself permission to adjust based on your battery levels. If you got 3 hours of sleep the night before, you shouldn't be doing your full day. And sometimes we don't have that privilege, but then at least take the things that you don't need to do and move them. Prioritize you and your energy when you are planning. Your capacity is not a reflection of your worth. And some days your battery is fully charged. Some days survival mode takes more energy. And some seasons require way softer expectations. You do not have to earn rest by burning yourself out first. I'm going to say that one more time. For me specifically, you do not have to earn rest by burning yourself out first. Plan for you, plan for your capacity to manage the split. Step 2 is presence. Presence is more than physically being somewhere. It's mentally, emotionally, and energetically arriving there too. A lot of overwhelm comes from this like mental leakage, if you will, when part of us is still stuck in the last tasks while trying to begin the next one, answering work emails while playing with your kids, thinking about laundry while you're doing dinner, replaying conversations while you're trying to rest. Your body may be in one place, but your mind is carrying five other things. When we practice being present, we give ourselves permission to place both feet into the moment we're currently in. No multitasking, no anticipating the next thing, not mentally living 3 hours ahead. We are not taught to be present. I just want to name that. At least I was never taught to be present. I was always taught to anticipate the next thing. For example, when we're kids, we know we go to school. Okay, what's after school? We go to college. Okay, what's after college? You find a career. Okay, what's after that? You find a partner. Okay, what's after that? You get married. You have kids, right? There's this whole American dream, societally normal expectations that you follow this whole thing. And then you eventually get to a space where it's like, oh, we're not anticipating the next thing. Well, now what? We're retired and there's nothing next. Now what? We have to be present in our moment and not think about the next step. And I think that's really, really hard to do. So when I name this second step of being present, I want to name that this is a departure from our learned behaviors. But we just need to be present because focus often improves the quality of completion. When we are fully present, conversations become more connected, work becomes more intentional, and rest becomes more restorative. Tasks often take less emotional energy, and our nervous system gets a clearer sense of safety and completion. Presence also creates clearer boundaries between roles. Instead of carrying every hat into every room, we learn how to ask, what does this moment actually need from me right now? Going back to our example, right? When I was at the networking event, what that moment actually needed from me was my presence and me actually knowing who I'm talking to and why I'm there and connecting with people there. What that music class needed from me was to be present with my daughter and playing the instruments and dancing. What my employee needed from me was support. We were on with court all day and we're never called up. So, the support really wasn't needed, but it was the emotional support of me even just being there, right? So, in those examples, I really just needed to be present in one thing at one time. Sometimes presence looks productive, but sometimes it looks like slowing down enough to actually experience your own life or the event that you're supposed to be in. Being fully present doesn't mean being perfect at all. Sometimes it means gently bringing yourself back when your mind starts running ahead. So I do want to challenge you, and I will bring this into my social media. When you notice your mind starting to run, pausing it and being present. We're going to do like a presence challenge this month. I think it might be something really fun and new to try. Step 3 to navigate the split is grace. This concept that we've talked about a few times, right? Some days overlap's unavoidable. Giving yourself grace is not avoiding accountability. It's recognizing that shame rarely creates sustainable growth. Grace allows room for rest without guilt, flexibility when plans change, human mistakes, emotional capacity shifts, asking for help, starting over without punishing yourself. You're allowed to adjust expectations during hard seasons. You're allowed to need breaks, and you're allowed to stop measuring your worth by your productivity. Stopping, pausing, say it louder for the people in the back. We are allowed to stop measuring your worth by your productivity. Going back to the example of how our culture and society recognizes normal like patterns throughout life, right? We were taught you always are going to the next thing, and that's productive, and that's being like a productive societal member. No, your career doesn't define your worth. Going to college doesn't define your worth. Who you are as a person, who you raise your children to be, who you are as a boss. Your worth is about you and your character. It's not about the things that you do to be acceptable. And they're not about how productive you are. When you're measuring your worth by productivity, I'm telling you right now, you're burning out. Think about it. The goal isn't perfection. It's learning how to support yourself with the same compassion that you give to everybody else. From our episode last week, when we incorporated grace and we discussed like adding that filter with things such as like when you feel overwhelmed, what do I need right now? What can wait? What am I expecting from myself today? What would gentle look like here? Am I responding from pressure or care? So when we're navigating the split and we've came up with our plan and we are being present in our plan, give yourself grace for when everything hits the fan and shifts. Put on that filter of grace when you are trying to navigate it all. And let's see how that helps with your navigation of transitioning with roles. Our fourth and final step for navigating the split is called conscious transitioning. Conscious transition between roles. A lot of emotional exhaustion comes from never fully leaving one role before entering the next. You finish a stressful work meeting and immediately step into parenting. You leave an emotionally heavy conversation and try to be present with friends. You move from caregiving to chores to emails to relationship without ever mentally transitioning. Over time, we start carrying emotional residue from one task into the next. Stress from work enters dinner. Frustration from parenting enters your relationship. Anxiety from earlier follows you into the rest of the day. This is why intentional transitioning matters. A conscious transition can be as simple as asking, like, what am I stepping into now? And letting yourself just sit with that for a second before you step into it. Another way is like, what version of me does this moment need? What can I leave behind from the last task in order to enter the next? Do I need a reset before entering this space? As a therapist, we see clients back to back sometimes, right? So between clients, I have to just leave the space. So I will go to the bathroom. I'm not checking my email. I will check my phone to check on my partner, my daughter, or my friends and my family. But I'm taking the minute to like take a few deep breaths, go to the bathroom. Sometimes I'll splash water on my face. Sometimes I'll spray sage around my office. It's whatever I need to do to transition between roles and help my nervous system signal safety and completion so I can move to the next. Other easy like ways that you can do this is taking 5 deep breaths before walking inside, sitting in silence before switching tasks, changing clothes after work. My family in my household, my daughter just takes all her clothes off the second she comes home. Great. Listening to music during transitions, stretching, walking, grounding, mentally naming the role you're stepping into. It sounds childish, right? But we really need to mentally, like when we say mentally naming the role, we need to take a second for our brain to shift and have our body follow along so that emotional residue doesn't just stick on to the next thing that we're moving into. Because when we consciously shift our mindset, we reduce the likelihood of emotionally spilling one experience into another. Not every role deserves access to the stress from the previous one. If I bring the stress of one client into another session, like you can't do that. It's not fair. That's not right. Then we're projecting other things onto someone else like that. No. You deserve moments where you can fully arrive instead of constantly carrying the emotional weight of what happened before. To navigate the split, just in a cute little bow, we are planning, we are being present, we are giving ourselves grace, and we are consciously transitioning into our next spaces. One thing I want you to think about is do your best to plan, but also accept that nothing will ever be perfect. And I want you to think when you notice the shift is coming, what is one thing I can fully complete in this window? When will I return to the rest? give yourself the ability to manage the split and use our steps. The goal isn't to do everything at once, it's to stop abandoning yourself in the process. I'm really excited for this month. We have a great guest speaker coming, and we also have some really fun and new hat rack submissions on different topics, which will be great. So please go like, follow, share all of our socials, share the pod with people who you love and care about. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited to continue navigating the split with y'all and continuing talking about it. But really, I just am excited that I'm bringing a framework to name something that people experience on a daily basis. So share the split framework with others that you know as well. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.